I'm Jasmine, and I'm sure most of you have seen me. If you haven't, I'm a part of the Global Wealth Club team. So welcome to our Wednesday evening catch up. We've got Warren Black joining us. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lisa. Hey, guys, I have a question for you all. How long have you been part of the Global Wealth Club or following us or listening to Warren? I'd love for you to put in the chat how long you've been with us. It'd be great. And I do apologize if you hear dogs barking. My dogs are really having fun tonight. Okay, so we've got 5 or so weeks. Awesome, Lisa. Christine, we've got 18 months. Carol, hi, Carol. I know you, a couple of years. Excellent. Joe, 1 year. Frank, hi, Frank. 6 months. Sim, oh, wow, 2 years. Great. A few weeks. Brilliant. Okay, well, I've got another question for whoever's on tonight, all of you lovely people. What keeps you coming back here, and why do you, jump on our webinars and our teachings? Is there anything that stands out for you? We just really want to make, really clear tonight our vision. Warren will be here in a moment, and I'm really excited and very, very, very happy that we're going to get back to, our core values and why we exist. So I'm excited to share that with you. All right, what have we got? We've got over a year with Fran, Daryl, over 12 months. Lisa, you said fabulous content. Hi, Peter. Leonie says knowledge is power, and you guys are up to date and relevant. That's brilliant. Carol says to be informed. Christine says, I learn heaps. I feel like I'm not alone. Gives me hope. JG says no BS. Sure, we all know what that means. It's awesome. You offer a good perspective on current events. That is so cool because, initially Warren will be able to share, why he initially started, but I love having this feedback. You guys are amazing. I won't let Warren read that one because he already knows he's amazing. I think he's jumping on now.
I do know I'm amazing.
Hey, Warren.
I'm a pole dancer. That makes me special.
I'm just asking everyone how long they've been following us. We've got a couple of weeks up to a couple of years. We've got some amazing feedback here. They've got, they say they keep coming to us because they've got great knowledge, insights, which gives me support and energy to keep going. Neil said it's pretty much because of Jazz. I don't blame you, Neil. At the end of the day. That's so cool. I love this feedback. Guys, if you ever want to give us feedback or reach out, we'd love to be interactive because we're here.
I'm a narcissist. It's nice when people say nice things about me. I'll do anything for them, really, won't I?
That's why I asked before you jump on, Warren. Otherwise, your head will get too big, and we need to keep you down to earth. Now, that's awesome. Well, it's so nice to be on with you again tonight. I'm very, very happy to be here. I just finished with HB on our health special on a Wednesday afternoon, and it was brilliant. So and very in line with what we're talking about today, actually. So very, very cool. All right, Warren. Let's talk about, we've got so many people here tonight who've been following us from 2 weeks up to a couple of years, okay? And initially, you started the Global Wealth Club how many years ago?
Oh, gosh. Well, technically about 7 years ago, but really probably more like 3 years ago, because 7 years ago, I was running an unofficial little group, and with generally high net worth serious clients. And then 3 years ago, I got another group which was a little bit more formal of high net worth serious clients, but it started to expand really in 2020 when COVID happened, and then last year, so it's been going technically 7 years, more realistically about 3 years in terms of actually what we're doing now. Yeah,
okay. And Warren, we're here tonight because we don't want to cover or quote anything with, sugar and lie about it. We're really frank. And that's one thing, and this is the reason why I'm a part of the team, because from the very start, especially with everything that happened with COVID, you always came in with a balanced approach, but you were never afraid to say things that some people would think, oh, that's a bit controversial, or you're thinking, a little bit negative, because you've always given a remedy to it. And I think that's the most important thing, right? We need a remedy in life. So could you share a little bit about the last few years, what the mission has been, and has that changed slightly for you?
Look, it evolves. I mean, the overall mission has never really changed. Where it's more changed a lot is just, yeah, the refinement and what I now believe is actually possible. So, yeah, look, basically when COVID happened, I'm a big believer in it's better to take actions. I can't stand people who give lots of nice, pretty words and don't do anything, or people who make me promises and don't keep them. I grew up in a family where all the flaws of my family, and they certainly had plenty, as did I. One thing about my family was we kept our word to each other. It was like an ironclad bond. And so for me, I've always believed in being a straight shooter, saying it as it is. And one of the things I was taught, I actually trust someone who's blunt with me and who kind of hurts my feelings, but tells me what they really feel, than someone who tells me what I want to hear and kind of then later on turns on me. So there's an old saying by an ancient, sage who said, better are wounds of a friend than the kisses of an enemy. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. So, yeah, look, the whole time with COVID, I've also learned that you also have to be very realistic about where things are really at. And I think that one of the things that I saw, and I knew we were in big trouble back in 2020, was a level of fantasy that was actually going on. Like the sort of stuff I was hearing people say, like, this will never happen and they'll never coerce. Australians will rise up and we're moving into a fifth dimensional ascension. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that may all be true, but right now, where we're at, we've got a real problem. I mean, governments have set everything up. They have done very little wrong. They've got APRA set up, which controls most of the health practitioners. Australians are so addicted to their money and way of life. It's not a judgmental. I mean, I like my way of life too, that we're by and large really got our balls and pussy or whatever else you want to call it, trapped in a vice. And I mean, right now, my money's on the government to pull this off. And I remember having so many of my friends saying to me, even awake friends who I respected, saying, seriously, Warren, you're like so paranoid and negative. Like I said, I'm not really, I'm just preparing for what I see as likely. Like the art of war says, prepare for what's difficult while it's easy. Like the best time for squirrels to gather nuts is not in bloody winter when it's snowing. It's best to gather nuts in late summer, in autumn. It's like the best time for bears to start, get themselves ready to go hibernate is before it all starts. The worst time to do it is when, imagine the squirrels, it hits the freezing cold winter and they go, oh shit, we better get some nuts. It's too late by then. So the best time is to actually get moving when you can do it and make hay. There's a great saying by Henry Thoreau, who's quoted in Dead Poets Society, where he said, gather your rosebuds while you may. And I love that one, gather your rosebuds while you may and cut the ends, seize the day. In other words, take action now, do it instantly, do it quickly. So when it all happened, you would remember I said, we've got to move quickly. I said, the protests aren't going to work. I wish they did. I hope I'm wrong, but my money's on the government. Right now, there's not enough percentage of people protesting. It's about 10%, which is nowhere near enough, maybe even 5%. Yeah. And I said, and at the end of the day, most of us are so dependent on the government for our financial security or on the system, like everything. If you're a doctor, you depend on APRA. If you're an accountant, you depend on this. But I said, and even if your bodies don't regulate you, I said, they'll start regulating you because big firms will say, hey, you can't be my lawyer if you're not vaccinated. This is what started happening. Like lawyer friends I know, even at the pole dancing studio, most of the girls there were like, yeah, we got vaccinated because we had to go and work in clubs and things like that. And it was like, everyone was snookered. And of course, they were clever enough to move everyone under an APRA body in 2010. So I said, my money's on the government. They're going to get away with this. Now, so I'm not saying that it won't be some witch hunts down the track of some kind, because humanity likes witch hunts and, doing shit like that. But I said, my money's on the government. And the same with the coming economic collapse. At the moment, although I think that people are waking up a little bit more than they did, which is really, really good. I do think that the one thing in favour of things is that the elite rushed things quite a lot the last 12 months. I mean, as I told people straight out, if I'd been in charge of the whole program, I would have got 80% of Australia vaccinated with no one complaining all that much at all. Because I would have just, I just would have got up and guilt tripped everyone and said like, hey, everyone, we believe in freedom of choice. We'll never force anyone to get a vaccine, but you really should do it for your granny and for your Aunt Mary and Uncle Jim because it's a bit rough on them. And then I would kind of say, but in saying that, we really believe in freedom of choice. And then I would say, and just be mindful of the fact that if people get sick, you could be to blame. And then all the insurance companies would freak out when you go, oh, shit, and they would make it a condition to insure you. And then all the big companies would do it, like BHP. And then people, by the time they wanted to travel and they couldn't go to Bali and places like that, they'd give in. So I said at the time, we're going to get, they didn't need to do vaccine mandates. And weirdly enough, the vaccine mandates, I think, has helped and given an opportunity for people to lead the system, because more people are waking up and realizing the need to create an alternate system and find a new way around this stuff, and start to realize that, hang on a second, if these guys can actually experiment on people's bodies and get away with it, what on earth they got to do to the economic system? And that's why our Directors ID webinar got inundated. People are like, yeah, they're going to control us and they're going to digitally put us an ID and they're going to social credit us. And now people go, shit, yeah, that's actually very likely. Whereas 2 years ago, you would have sounded like a loony. So, yeah, look, at the moment, in a strange way, I'm a little bit more positive, because I think that, but in saying that, my only reservation is, will people take action and move fast enough? Because we're very good at kind of saying we'll do things and not doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I could say I want to be a great pole dancer, and I always like using pole dancers.
For the newbies here tonight, yes,
yeah.
Warren does
Yeah,
pole
so
dance.
of course, but for me, I show that by turning up to classes, doing training, working on my strength, every night, even last night, I worked till 10 at night, exhausted, and I still went and did my stretching, my 30-minute stretching session, because my aim is by the end of next year to do the splits, and that's not easy. So
Right.
there you go.
Okay. Well, you know what, Warren, when you do, we need to see that on one of the live webinars.
Oh, look, I'm sharing my videos. I'm a complete narcissist like that, you know that. Like, I put it all over Facebook, and I'll happily share all my pole dancing videos if anybody wants to see it. It's awesome.
Hey,
There'll be extra fees for private shows and all that, of course, but
All right. Anyways, I really want to take it back, because when I first met you, I remember you shared a story with me, Warren, and you said, I got really despondent. I lost a little bit of hope. I was running, webinars. No one was rocking up, and you almost gave up because you're like, no one's listening to me. And then COVID hit, and things started to happen. And you saw that people were getting pressured and they were freaking out. And we had a massive increase of people joining in with us. We were giving so much free time to make sure that people were being educated and felt supported. Like the comments we just had before, people were saying community, education, I learned from you. I feel, and I know that many others can feel the same, and I want you to share your story again, Warren. It's so powerful that it's like we're coming back to that place again. It's like you're kind of at the entail of COVID and everything there, and it's now the digital ID and tracking, and people are going to start to freak out again because they need to start to take action, right? And my point is here, why are you still here teaching? Why are you still giving up your time, not being paid for a lot of the things that you do? Why is Global Wealth Club in this world right now? And why are we here to serve? Like, let's get back to it, because we really want people to join us, to be a part of taking action, not just to listen to Warren about, sharing in his pole dancing. We really want action takers. So can you share a little bit about that experience, especially with COVID, and where we're heading now? Where are we going?
Yeah, look, you're right. I definitely at one stage just was like, what's the point? No, not enough people are listening. I'm wasting my fucking time. I did start to think that for a time, and some wonderful people were sending me messages that kept reminding me that we were making a big difference. And people like Nadine, who's amazing, and various others who just kept on always sending me really nice messages. And I think one thing, like, there's so many things, I could be here for ages, but I think one thing that really pushed me harder was the absolutely unexpected death of Sammy last year, because, you remember Sammy, like, literally, like, she was my partner. Like, we were, everyone used to say she was like me in the skirt. We just literally, like, got on really, really well. She's, I loved her and I trusted her, and vice versa. I could be myself with her, and, she'd do my head in, and I could kind of tell her she was annoying and to go away. She'd just laugh. We had a very good connection. And when I found her dead in the toilet that, 1st of November, it just set me into a tailspin, and of course, when she passed away and I had to make the decision to turn off her machine and all that kind of stuff, as you know, I had to get the best grief counselling on planet Earth, and I had to do all kinds of shit like that, and all that. And the biggest thing, though, what started to happen with me was, through getting amazing grief counselling, having the best support network around me, I actually got through the worst of it quicker than the average person does. Within 3 months, I probably got through the worst of it. But the big thing it left me with, I remember in April this year was probably one of my lowest moments, because I remember sitting there going like, I've lost the woman I love. I have no idea where that's going to lead me from here. And then on top of that, I've lost my state, which I spent my whole life since I was young, teaching, doing activist work, which I did. I've done activist work for many, many years. I was involved in missionary work, helping in poor towns like down in here and in poor churches, carrying musical equipment around and basically helping out in Aboriginal refuges. That was my life, really doing what I could to make a difference, and then doing activist work to wake people up to the reset and government, invasion of rights. Took on a legal practice board, and took on cops, single-handedly in big cases in Queensland, and got so good at beating them. I actually got visited by cops telling me the system was going to shut me down from operating anymore, and which they did, which was pretty cool in hindsight. But I realized, like, I can't believe it. Like, these state of emergencies, we've lost our state. It's not a case of protecting our freedoms. We've bloody lost them now. We're in deep shit. And I remember just sitting there thinking, like, no one's listening. We're not going to change anything anyway. What's the point of going on? So I thought, well, let's just have some fun, go out and explore a little bit, do some dancing and just do all the bucket list things I want to do. Because like Sammy, she's passed away. I don't know when my time's going to be, when I'm going to be gone. I could be gone in 6 months. I could be gone in 6 years. I don't know. And I remember at the time I was thinking, hopefully not too long. Hopefully I can, be gone as soon as possible. As you may remember, I think I freaked everyone out because I was sort of saying, I hope I die pretty soon, and I meant it. And it wasn't morbid. I was just like, let's have some fun and get the fuck out of this stupid place. And I had a really big turning point over the last few months where I hit this point and I started to see that things were awakening. As I was having fun and doing things like that, I think I reconnected with my love, my first love for the work and why I did this and what was the reason that I did this. And I thought, I did this because I can't change the fact that I love my state and that I love this work. And I just can't, as a man in good conscience, sit here and let this shit go on without doing everything I fucking can to push back. And I remembered in 2012 standing in the Memphis Theatre where Martin Luther King was shot. And I read every single word of all the plaques all over there until literally I had a headache, because I wanted to feel and understand everything that he and the civil rights campaigners felt when they fought against the injustice of basically segregation of coloured people. And I remember thinking, like, wow, what a guy. He didn't just get up and speak. He disrupted. He forced people to listen to him. And I started to think about him in about August, September. And I remember thinking to myself, he yelled, he screamed, he deliberately broke the law, walked in and yelled at people who didn't want to listen to him. He made them listen to him until eventually someone got sick of listening to him and shot him. But still to this day, people hear what he was saying and left him a legacy. So I thought, well, even if I get stopped in my work, who gives a shit? At least let's just push back and not let this go on. So then I started to think, okay, so how can I do what I'm doing? And I started to look more at what Trump was doing. And I thought, Trump was smart about it. He got really economically successful. He built a good following. Then he went for it. And he's been fighting. And I think the thing that set me over the edge once and for all was about a week ago when Trump gave his candidacy speech. Yeah. And I just sat there, I had tears in my eyes because Trump basically said, we're against, and I'm not saying Trump's some savior. Trump's got his shit like anyone else, but Trump just gets up and says, look, he says, I didn't need to do this. I'm economically self-sufficient. He never took a salary. And he said, but I'm not going to sit here because we're against this unimaginably evil force who's destroying our ideals of life, our way of life, our capitalism, our ability to be free. He said, I have to run because I cannot stand here and watch this happen. He said, so I want you to join me and fight this force and get America back and force this group to get back to it. And I remember thinking that is a great speech. So I thought, okay. So I thought, well, I've just got to get busier on this global wealth. We've got to do more. We've got to be better. And that's what I said to my team. We've just got to get better. We just got to get the word out. We've got to tell our clients to get there. We've got to have the best free education in the world. We've got to have 99% of our clients getting free education, never paying a cent for it. And then the 1%, that do will basically, always when we got lots of people we're serving, we'll sign up for our staff to get who want one-on-one mentoring or get more advanced, mentoring group or whatever, whatever else is going on, and joining our special groups, our accelerated and our more advanced groups. We'll always have plenty, and I have no doubt we'll have clients wanting to contribute, and put finance into it if necessary to basically make a difference. So I said, we've got to do what the elite do. We've got to reverse engineer what they did. I mean, how do they get control? They set up these pharmaceutical companies. They set up APRA, got control of the health. They got control of the financial systems. I said, right, we've got to start by regaining the control of the minds of the masses, empower people about their rights, their legal rights, their sovereignty, empower them around their finances, empower them around their health. And I've been going all over the place to every successful people, including people with 1 million TikTok followers, and saying, come on, get moving, join with me, get the word out. And they're all saying yes. And it's just amazingly exciting. Yes. I was with Rich Vicarage, our mutual friend today, and he's on board. I've got, I'm just getting everyone on board with it, because I'm saying if we can empower and awaken people right across this country, we can start getting a force that cannot be ignored. And then we can, who knows, eventually even create our own health network and take control of that too. And even though I don't think we'll avoid an economic collapse of some kind, you can significantly mitigate it if people are empowered, got their balance in their finances, been educated. And so the worst of it can, and learn how to simplify their life or do what's needs to be done, learn where to reposition themselves. There's just a lot we can do. But I think action speaks louder than words, and activists don't talk, they move. One of the persons that really inspires me, even though I don't agree with her cause, is Tash Peterson, for example. I mean, I think she's a bit extreme, but I think that's an example of how to protest. I told some protesters once, if you really want to protest, do what she does. She openly says, I'll go to jail and be arrested. I don't care what it takes to stop people being cruel to animals, That I agree with her on, but she pretty much says people should never eat an animal ever, which I have different views on. But yeah, the whole point I'm saying is that the biggest passion is to empower people financially, empower people in their rights, empower people in our legal rights and sovereignty. So really, we can have our body, our choice, have the ability to not be coerced financially, just basically have the right to be able to do these kind of things and stuff like that, and not have governments coming and just taking people's stuff. And I don't know if I can fully stop everything in what we're doing, but I'm hoping that we can at least empower people significantly enough that it'll mitigate the effect that eventually, who knows what we could do. Maybe we could stop some things. I don't know. It's not impossible. So the main thing is we just got to keep educating, keep empowering, keep getting feedback from people, what people need, and make sure our education is getting out there. Don't know if that's the question, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the whole point tonight, is really just to honestly share from the heart. I mean, I know many people look up to Warren and many of the team. And at the end of the day, something that I learned being a part, coming and being a part and learning from yourself and everyone else was, if you're out there and you're trying to fix everyone else, or if you're trying to solve all the problems of the world, but you're not leading in your own self, in your own household, if you're not taking responsibility for you, no one else is going to do that for you. And this is something that I really feel that is very important that people need to grasp. It's all well and good to be an activist and to go out there and be passionate about something, that you're willing to put your life down the line, but your life is in your home. Your children that are under your roof, they're your responsibility. And I really, really feel that this is the time where people need to get off their bums and they need to challenge themselves. And that means, hey, learn a new thing like this week, like get out there, share our webinars with people, because we honestly want to empower people so they can take their lives back. You said before, Warren, we've already lost our freedoms on paper, right? Yeah, in Western Australia, even the laws they've just passed are horrendous.
We're officially a communist country now. We actually are. If you look at the laws objectively, we are now a communist country.
Yeah, we're a communist country. So do you believe in this, Warren? Where there is a will, there is a way. Okay,
well, the starting point, it's like, and look, I use this as an example, but I find simple examples make sense. So like, I remember when I used to go to strip clubs with my friend and watch pole dancers, I'd be like, how do they do that? That's like insane. And 3 months ago, I'm sitting there because I'm involved in a men's dance group where I'm learning how to break dance, because it's been one of my little dreams. And Mitch put me on the Douglas, as you know. And I remember there was a bit of a boys' night. Let's go out and get some dinner. And myself and 4 guys went out. And one of the guys who actually works at the Booty Lounge is a male kind of stripper. And he just said, they've got a big competition. You want to come and watch the competitions? I said, yeah. And they had like some of the top dancers. And what they were doing, I'm just sitting there going like, how the hell do you do that? Like, but that's just nuts. I'm sitting there shaking my head thinking I could never do that. That was my thought. And I actually made a comment when I saw one particular girl. I turned to my friend and said, I want to be like her. I said, God, I wish I could do what she does. And he goes, well, she teaches, I said, oh, tell her to teach me. And I kind of just said it. I said, ask if she'll teach me. Mm-hmm. And next day he messaged me going, yeah, she said she'd love to. I said, really? And I thought, do I want to? I thought, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And that's how it started. But when I first turned up, I really didn't know what to expect or whatever else. But I remember sitting there and seeing the curriculum, and that was what impressed me, how they'd broken it down into a step-by-step process, like beginners, intermediate, advanced, elite. And so when I started out, I couldn't even do basic moves. And now I'm upside down, I'm doing all kinds of crazy shit. But that was because I went through a process. So the best thing that everyone could do is just start taking some small step. Yeah. So, for example, if your finances are in a shithole, then take some action to, we're going to be putting up a heap of good free videos to watch them and start to stabilize your finances. If you're really serious about it, you might think, well, look, I'll be one of the 1% of Global Wealth Club and I'll get involved and, join up one of the more programs to get some one-on-one and some 13-week financial mentoring program that we run, which we're going to start running next year. Or I might get my structure sorted out or getting my wealth well protected, because the truth is, the reason also I can do this work is I put a lot of time into establishing myself like Trump did. I got my structures in place. I made sure I was protected because I knew that the moment I'm up there speaking, I'm going to be a target, because every time I've done it, ASIC targeted me, then the Legal Practice Board targeted me for 3 years, like relentlessly. I was targeted by various government bodies. And in the end, I thought I just have to break all my ties to the system, and I've got to set myself up so I can fight back, but not have my knees knocked out from under me. Yes. So that's the reason I can do what I'm doing, because I actually did take a long time to prepare myself. So, I do believe we've still got some time before the worst of it happens. So the secret is to get busy now, doing some kind of something small, like, if your health's not good, do some work to get your health in order. If you're not fit and not feeling physically strong, do some work around that. If your finances are a mess, do that. If you know your job is vulnerable, start learning a new skill. Is it scary? Of course it's scary. It was terrifying for me to walk away from a law firm that was making me like nearly $400,000 a year, for not doing a lot of basically as a lawyer, because I walked away from the system, and that was hard, but I did that, learned new skills, and now I'm looking back and the best thing I ever did. But for the first year, that was scary, really scary for me in doing it. So the point is, the best time to do difficult things is now. Do the scary things now while you can. If you know that your income is vulnerable, now's the time to learn the skills and start putting things in place, even though right now you'll probably feel overwhelmed every day. I can promise you the first 3 months of dance classes, I was overwhelmed every single day, Jasmine, I went to class.
Oh, I remember,
I was overwhelmed. I remember when I first did pole dancing, my first probably 10 classes, I felt overwhelmed every class. The last 2 now, not at all. Now I'm like, let's do this, And even to the point I'm doing my first show on the 16th of December. But, it's starting and getting it going, and eventually you strengthen up, you toughen up, and you get ready for it. So same with finances. The more you build your financial muscle and your legal rights muscle.
Yeah.
You remember during COVID, I trained myself to push back with masks. When I first started, I was shitting myself, but I just kept going into places without a mask. And then I set myself challenges like go to Burswood Casino and, get away without wearing a mask. And I think I was one of the first people to pull it off, and it was really cool, but it's just, you can go a long way if you do things systematically and slowly and get started. Just start with something.
Yeah, I love this. I'm kind of envisioning it's like us putting on armor on ourselves, preparing for what's to come, right? It's like that unknown. Like you say, no one really knows how it's all going to pan out. No one can say they know the day, the time. But it's like putting that armor on. And I think the most important thing is now is probably to do a bit of a check-in with yourself. Where are you right now? Like financially, spiritually, physically, maybe do a little bit of it, write it down and just really like get clear on where you are, where you want to be, and then you can start to make some progress. And that's how I go about things. And I think every day progress is a good thing. Were you better than yesterday? Did I learn something new? And did I take action? They're all things that are really good to ask yourself. Warren, I just want to talk and touch on, obviously the governments have taken over with APRA, the food system, banking and all those sorts of things. In a world where you almost feel like there's no way out, how is there going to be a way out to be sovereign and not to be dependent?
Look, I'll be honest, it's not easy. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm pondering about right now, which like someone asked me about the banking system. I said, that's a really hard one because I said, I don't think cryptos is the answer as much as people think it is, because I just know I did my own research into it. I spoke to really advanced IT people and I pretty much concluded that, governments are fully aware about it and it's just a very good way to flush people out of the black economy. So I thought, this is a bit of a problem. So in the end, I thought, we're working on creating our own financial system in the background at the moment, And Electra correctly points out that APRA doesn't answer the government. They are an independent private company. The Commonwealth of Australia is a registered entity offshore Washington as well. But APRA, the TGA and APRA are both companies owned by offshore corporations that most people don't know much about them. In fact, the TGA actually run through an offshore corporation now. So they all do this shit. And look, it's not easy because it's really training people's consciousness. And even awake people have said things to me like, oh, but if I leave APRA, I won't get government benefits anymore. And I'm like, good. And look, I don't think it's easy. It's really not easy. You got to go step by step to do it, but the consequences of not doing it are terrible. I mean, the day will come in 3 to 4 years from now to 5 years, where literally, in a communist country, just to understand, when you look at history and study every history book about what happens in communism, 100% of the time with socialism, the economy collapses, governments take some form of control, you're on a social credits kind of system. If you speak out against the political system of the day, like in Russia, right now, if you speak against Putin and that, you've got a problem, and I know even, girls I know in Russia and friends tell me that. Same with North Korea and China. And then eventually it comes down to where you can't say too much. You're being tracked by drones, by kind of stuff like that. Your businesses, you have to really kind of align with what's being said. Otherwise, you can be shut down with your jobs. You have to do this. They're talking about a digital World Health Passport from next year in May, which the G20 have all agreed to subscribe to. I mean, this is serious communistic shit. So it's not an easy solution. I mean, I'm under no illusions. That's why I thought, well, I've got to do something. And I don't even know if what I'm doing is anywhere near enough, but at least I'm just doing what I can. And if I think too much about things, I could get overwhelmed. But I'm just doing what I can right now. And what I'm doing with this, look, obviously it's making a difference. There's 56 people here and Director's ID. So look, there's people turning up, which means I'm making some difference, at least in the people who turn up. And hopefully those who share with other people and know that the many who watch recordings only find out about later on, So look, I think I'm making a difference of some description. And I just really hope I can make more. And I think if everyone gets on board with that idea and this makes a difference where you're at, it can be so small. It can be letting your friends know about stuff. It can be, really getting a bit more conscious how you raise your children to, rather than yelling at them, and things like that, and just thinking, how can I be a better parent, if you're a mother? How can I, learn to kind of do things like this? Or is there a skill I can upskill myself up in that can increase my market value to make some more money and things like that, you can do lots of things from where you start right now. And for me, I'm just doing what I can. So that's my biggest comment. I think there's a lot of ground to make up. I mean, it's not like we're fighting for our freedoms now. We've lost them, they're gone. Now we're going to try and get them back and convince a whole new system of government and financial system to step up. That's a very different proposition to holding on to what we've got.
Yeah. And Warren, with things as they're going to get tougher, even for, your average Joe, even if people got vaccinated because they got coerced, I definitely do see, and put a comment in there in the chat if you feel that you've seen this. There are a lot of people now with inflation and all sorts of things, who are starting to get a bit frustrated. They're starting to feel to pinch themselves. They're thinking, oh, what does life look like in the future? Do you feel that that's something that, you know, for people that they're going to start to experience, and they're going to start to look for a place that can educate them too, and that they feel that they have help?
Yeah, look, Donald Trump made a great comment in his speech last week. It's a really good summary of what's necessary. And Trump made this, so much of what he said was right. I mean, Trump's methods may not always be the best way, but gosh, he says a lot of good shit. And I mean, something that he said was, he said, when he was asked, why have people gone against you in the midterms? And he pretty much said, people aren't really feeling enough pain yet. And I nodded my head. There were two reasons I said that. Was one reason. The other reason was, I think the Republicans messed up when they started saying they were going to have a hard on abortion. I think the moment, you know, male politicians start kind of telling what women to do with their bodies, you've got a problem, you know. And I think I said I was going to bet heavily on the Republicans in the elections. I decided not to, because the abortion issue concerned me heavily. I thought, I reckon they fucked up on that. And you know, and things like that. I do think there was a maybe small amount of vote rigging, but nowhere near as much as what happened before, you know. So, but yeah, the truth is Australians still are not really feeling enough pain. I think some are, but I do feel over the next couple of days, people feel more pain, they'll want to educate themselves. I'm hoping that the people who are on here are the ones who are like, I'd rather fix things before I get pain. Because the wise man or woman, they learn from others' mistakes and they fix things before there's a problem. They're proactive with their health. They're getting a CAT scan to see if they've got cancer, rather than suddenly be rolling around in agony and then go running to the doctor. You know, I used to ignore my health, and then now I'm getting proactive checks all the time on my health. If I get the slightest problem, I'm running to get it looked at. You know, so I'm proactive on that. So really this webinar today is really very much aimed at the proactive people, because in Australia, we're just starting to feel the bite. And as the interest rates increase next year and more companies go break from the COVID lockdown little saga, you know, then people will feel pain more and more and more. And I think people will listen more. But yeah, I think there's still a bit more pain to experience yet. And I'm hoping everyone here will be taking action before you get the pain, before you wake up and you find out your job's been mandated by some new climate change thing, or before your digital ID system, where if you don't get up and say, you know, transgenderism is the only way, or whatever else they want you to say, that you're in all kinds of trouble. I mean, some of the stuff I watch on sport, I just sit there feeling like I'm living Jasmine in the permanent Borat movie. I mean, it's like, you know, my Facebook page where I kind of take the piss out of it all, and I write really provocative. I have pictures of Bill Gates and Daniel Andrews, and I've appointed myself Chief Health Officer of Facebook, as you know, and I basically go on and give mandates and all that kind of shit. So I kind of do stuff just to show people how ridiculous the whole thing has really become. But yeah, what's concerning is that it's funny, but the fact that it keeps happening and keeps going on, it tells you that they're going to get away with doing worse shit. If, you know, they really are. They're going to get away with it.
Yeah, that's right.
And I hope I'm wrong, but I've been right on most stuff. And I have a horrible feeling that Dan's really behaving himself in Victoria, and they all are, because they want to. Right now, he's got a problem. I mean, he's pissed off so many people. There's a good chance he's going to, lose his majority, and he'll still win, but he'll have to share his power. And I think he really prefers not to. And, you know, there's a very, 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 very remote chance he could actually lose. Like, the bookmakers are putting Matthew Guy at 8.50, which I don't think Matthew Guy will win. But I think Dan's really behaving right now. And I think as soon as he knows he's in and got it all sorted, I think he's going to start the party up again. That's my feeling, you know?
Yeah. But this just shows you the power of one, the power of you, the power of your neighbour. Like, we all need to take responsibility for ourselves. If so many, the majority of people weren't just being dumbass, no offense, but truly they're not watching, or they're not really in pain enough, and they're just thinking, oh, well, we'll just keep going. You know, things aren't going to change. So this is where we really want to be leading in this country.
Yeah.
Warren, I really feel that you're fit to really lead. I believe that, you know, you have a massive ability to teach, but you have a massive ability to impact lives. I can share that from my own experience. You know, you impacted my life dramatically until the pole dancing came along. But in all fairness, you know, I really want to share with everyone that's here tonight. If you could do one thing this week, maybe share the website, like, or share some of our webinars that we're doing just with one person. And if we were to have double on next week, for example, on the free stuff, completely free, then on the next week, that person shares it with another person, we could dramatically change and start to increase the amount of people that are coming together as a community, supporting one another and learning. How cool would that be in real time to see that?
Look, I think so, because look, as I see it, is that I think we all would say someone's got to step up and lead and create a platform to unify everyone together as a group. And then it doesn't mean that individual efforts and smaller groups aren't important, because they are. Everyone's got a part to play. But as I've learned, I think that if I'm thinking about it, that someone may as well be me. That's how I see it. Someone's got to do it, like Trump said. And often we wait for the someone. So right now we can do this. We can get the message out. But most importantly, I do say there's two things. Number one, make sure you're getting your own affairs in order, because you can't really help others if you haven't got your own basic finances and stability. You haven't got your household stabilized. You haven't got your little bits and pieces. But at the same time, it's important to be giving as well. And that's where you can share it out, get the word out. And like I said, right now, we just want to get people joining the community, getting the free education, getting it around, because we can empower people financially into their rights. I actually believe that Australia could see an extraordinary revolution that will shock us, because the history of our country, like in Gallipoli, we're a surprise packet of Australians, in fact, if you went in Thailand when I was there, they see us over there as a very awake country when it comes to the vaccines and everything else. In fact, they said, your country's pretty awake when it comes to that. Like, you'd be amazed at how unawake they are in other countries, like in comparison to this, how unawake. Like a lot of these other countries in Europe and places like that, they might be less awake than we are here. So we actually have a greater level of awakening here than almost anywhere else I've seen, with the exception of perhaps Russian people I speak to. And even then, I think we're still ahead of it. The biggest thing we're going to deal with is what I call the spirit of apathy. And the fact that in Australia, we have she'll be right. And look, I think that we do reflect the DNA of our ancestry. So in America, for example, their DNA was a revolution where they got up, fought for their rights, fought for their guns. So this white, good luck to any idiot who tries to take guns off Americans, because Americans will fight to the core. Australians, we were a convict colony where we were locked up and we were put in stuff and forced to go to church. Australians in their DNA want to comply and will do what they're told. And they say they don't, but we actually do. And WA was astonishing, as you saw in the masked man. I just sat there shaking my head. Like, honestly, we're literally the stupidest, people I've ever seen in my life. But then in saying that, I eventually realized, it may be the case, but the elite know how to, keep the stupid people happy. So so we've got to find a way to reach everyone where they're at, and realize what we see as stupid is just people who are really scared, who are denying. And we just got to find a way to help these people, because if we can help the critical mass, we can change our country. I think where I'm at. So that's why I want to simplify it. I've been working on learning to be more compassionate, trying to understand how people think, and be a fuckload kinder than I have been, because I'm like, no, I want to help our state and help people. And the reality is right now the elite are beating me and beating us because they know how to keep the dumb masses happy. So we've got to kind of learn to, just work with where people are at and find a way through it. It's like being a good marketer in business. You just have to learn to work where your client's at. The market will always decide for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, another thing to make mention is the mortgage system. Most people are locked in with a mortgage, with the tax system.
That's right.
There are new people. Yeah, go ahead, Warren.
I'm going to say, no, look, I've got more compassion with that sense, because let's say that you bought a house and you've done property and you've got that, you've got a job, and, you've done all the great Australian dream, but you're now sitting thinking, well, hang on a sec, I'm going to have my mortgages against me, they're increasing interest rates, they might even take my house off me. It's a horrible thing for people to be going through. And if I hadn't taken the action steps I've taken, I would be shitting myself more than anyone. I would be. I would be beside myself if I had massive mortgages, and if I had a 400 grand income and kids in a private school and stuff like that. I would be scratching my head thinking, if I take a stand on this, I've got a real problem here. And in all honesty, I hate to admit it, I probably wouldn't. I don't know. And if I hadn't had really severe health crisis and almost fucked my life up 20 years ago, who knows? I probably would have been getting vaccinated as well. So I In a way, I just think, look, I've been fortunate. I got awoken. The universe kind of whacked me around a little bit. I was very pro-vax until like 20 odd years ago. So, okay, Warren, you gotta improve in how you understand people and work with people better, because, and it's been helpful that my family are very pro-vax and all took it, because I found we got on really well because we learned to understand each other. So, it's just, yeah.
And I think as well, like, at the end of the day, if you really do believe in body autonomy, even though you know that, the whole agenda behind it, you really do have to let people choose for themselves. And that's another thing, like, if you don't want it, don't get it, but don't judge other people. And I'm guilty of it, even with the mask. I've had a few run-ins with the mask. I learned my lesson, let's just put it that way. It was very frustrating, but once again, it's about you, and it's about the world does revolve around you. It's your experience. So, do the things that you can that are going to make your life better so you can help others. Warren, before we kind of wrap this up tonight, we're talking about this weekend, we've got the event on for those who are in Perth. It's about how to, exit the rat race. We can send the link out later. Once again, if you are in Perth, it's live, it's not online. But how do people, really get in now, like get locked in the good education? For example, they want to learn more. What do they do with us in order, not paid services, but where do they start? What can they do right now, today?
Well, look, the best thing is everyone's at a different place. The starting point is to identify your greatest need and the thing that's the most important. So let's say you're financially pretty self-sufficient. You might need to do some stuff around your health, or you might need to do something around your legal rights because you found it very hard to deal with the mandates. You may have the legal rights sorted out and be empowered in that area, but you may financially be vulnerable. If that's the case, then you want to take action on that. So, look, there's a couple of things you can do. One, of course, is that we obviously have our Global Wealth Club site, which are free membership site. Right now, we're just in the process of finalising some major changes that will happen over the next couple of days. It's going to look world class. Like, we're going to have 3 sections in the free site. One will be beginning your journey to sovereignty, that will teach on common law rights, knowing your power, mandates, the Great Reset. The second one will be about how to, grow income and your wealth, and that will be teaching about investing, balanced portfolio, financial basics, the laws of wealth, the richest man in Babylon, the basics, like how you can grow your wealth in the basics. And then the third one, how to keep your wealth, tax minimization, asset protection. So if finance is an issue, you would want to actually watch all of that kind of stuff, sign up to free member and really choose the relevant section that's relevant for you, because start by doing that. Let people know about them. We're doing regular mandates on hot topics not mandates, webinars on the director's side.
We're here to mandate.
So I'm starting to sound like Mark McGowan and Daniel. So basically, so just look, getting it out there and letting people know on these webinars and stuff like that, because like I said, we just want to, if we build, I make no apologies for asking you straight out to plug us, to me, I want to give the best free education.
Absolutely.
And so if I was trying to ask you to give me a shitload of money, then that's kind of, I could do it. But there's an old universal law of, giving back, and it's one way you can give back. So, take advantage of the education to yourself, come along to our events if they resonate with you. And for those in Perth, we've got that financial event this weekend, for one day to help people get started for beginners with finance. Come along and watch them, and, we're going to be giving more and more good content and let people know about it. But start by really doing something and beginning. And once you get started watching the videos, if you think I need a mentor, just reach out to us, or if you've got someone around you who you feel can help you, there's stuff like that. The main thing is to keep taking action. Like, I'm constantly taking action. I don't stop all the time. Because to me, every day I sit on my ass, I'm not serving the world, I'm not making a difference, and who knows, it could slow down what can happen. Yeah,
absolutely. So I want you to put in the chat tonight, if you're going to share our website or webinars, people can join up to our newsletter. Can you put in the chat, if you're going to commit, just to share it with one person, that's all you need. It's not one person that needs support right now, that would love this, it's just being a bit afraid. Do it. It is the best thing that you could ever do for them right now.
That's good enough. Thank you, everyone. I just noticed there's a lot of comments about health. One thing I want to mention about the health while we're waiting for people to respond. One thing I mentioned about health is that I'm very passionate about that. I was actually meeting with, our friend Mitch, and we're talking about, bringing the best health networks and alternative health, to people and linking up with relevant people. I notice that people are messaging us about things they're doing, and look, by all means, feel free to share. I'm passionate about health because I was very, very sick for many, many years, virtually disabled, and healed myself. And so, like Faye asked about the rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, also and reversing autoimmune. Yeah, it was a big process. I mean, I used a mixture of juice and water fasting. That was a big thing that helped me, doing some yoga. The juice fasting was very successful, following the Don Tolman Kabbalah juice fasting system and a few others. Seeing a really good chiropractor as well, who specializes in kinesiology and NOT or NET. But I mean, water fasting and just getting your digestion kind of to get your leaky gut syndrome sorted out. So apple cider vinegar, I took a lot of to really improve my digestion, because poor digestion, and drink a fuckload of water, juice and water. But I went on an 18-day juice fast myself on Kabbalah juice, had lots of water. I went on light eating for a while, gradually rebuilt myself back up, did yoga, did gratitude exercises, because arthritis, according to Louise Hay, is about self-criticism and not loving yourself and being bitter. So the emotion that goes with it. So I really worked on shifting that, and within about 6 months I was completely fine. Not a single issue. In fact, probably 3 months really, not 6.
And also, it's good to mention HB. Our medical health specialist. We do teaching every fortnight.
Yeah, we've got a good doctor.
Yeah, we've got a great doctor. So health, is really, really important. Without your health, you can't enjoy many other things. This is what we really want to teach. Amazing. Okay, so does anyone have any questions for Warren tonight before we wrap it up? We like to keep this under an hour so people can watch the replay.
Look into the work, Royal Raymond Wright. Yeah, he's amazing, Peter. I know him from Ross Martin, who's a brilliant homeopath in Perth, and he uses machinery like it. It's amazing machinery, for health balancing. So,
You know what, Warren, just quickly, I personally think as well, I personally believe, as much as this is a really scary time for people, this is a very exciting time, because when people are under pressure and they feel like they're about to lose everything, this is when the stars come out. They're like, right, I'm going to go all guns blazing. So this is the time as well where we're going to have some great change. Like, we've already seen quantum, healing, quantum energy. There's a lot of other things, in the spiritual world that we also teach and focus on that are really going to change the world for a better place too. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I'm going to put my Facebook ID if anyone wants to,
have a laugh.
I have various posts on there, where I've got things like, I've got Gandalf as my profile picture. I put a thought of the day yesterday, which says, if you're ever feeling down, unloved, and that nobody cares about you, there's always a government or large corporation, adware, algorithm, or drone keeping a close eye on you. Or better still, somebody who loves you and cares enough about your health to want to vaccinate you. Big Brother, the World Health Organization, your government cares, so be at peace, you're never alone.
So if you want to add him on Facebook, if you're still on Facebook, you can. That's hilarious. But most importantly, our message here tonight is, first and foremost, we exist to really empower you. So you are empowered. We want you to share, sign up on the website to our newsletter, so you're always up to date with everything. So go to sign up, globalwealthclub.com. And if you have anything that you would like for us to cover or discuss, you can email us at support@globalwealthclub.com. Give us feedback. We really love it. We really want to hear from you. And let's just see what the last little comments are. The world has experienced a global pandemic of stupidity. Fair call, Peter. Yeah. And it is up to us to create a new reality. All right, final words from you, Warren.
Yeah, look, thank you everyone for coming along. Just make sure, you get the word out and let everyone know. And take some action, everyone. And if you want some help, good to see you, Sim. Nice to see you again. Hope you're well, mate. But just basically, come along, let people know about it, and come along to the event if you're in Perth. And in fact, my pole dancing instructor is going to be coming, she tells me, Jazz, for a bit of it. So you get to meet her. So
I'll meet her and I'll
you can blame her. Kind of a she's to blame.
I'll thank her for everything that she's doing to all of us. That's awesome. Sim said he's immigrating to Australia in January. So, yeah. Thanks, Kirsty. Everyone, you're superstars for being here. We absolutely love you coming along. Remember, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll see you next week. Have a fabulous night. Thanks, Warren. You're the best.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone. Bye.
See you.